What are you doing? This is new for me. I know. Try the whole online dating thing. It's pretty crazy. I haven't danced since 1943. I mean, half the time I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's a lot. just stood there, frozen. Not a killer anymore. I didn't have a moment to deal with anything, you know? It's really weird. I don't know. I want to tell you everything. People really cared about the guy. Really loved him. How could he give all that up? He knew what he was leaving behind, and still he had such certainty. I never felt that certain about anything in my entire life. Do you love me? Because if we do this, you gotta promise me you're not going anywhere. Do you want me?